The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview. We turn our attention away from the Premier League. It seems too soon to be saying that. It's only the third game of the season, but we are turning our attentions towards the EFL Cup. Is it still sponsored by Carabao, that horrible energy drink? It is, isn't it?
I believe
the
so,
Carabao
yeah.
Cup. We play Nottingham Forest. It's a Premier League side, so there you go. The cup ties haven't gotten any easier for us this season yet, but we'll see what happens with the FA Cup, shall we? But yeah, Nottingham Forest EFL Cup second round. It's on Wednesday night, the 28th of August. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff at the City Ground, and it's live on Sky. I'm Scott. I'm your host for this one, and this week I'm joined by Daryl and Nichol. Like I said before, it's on Sky for you, lovely people in the UK, and it's on loads of channels if you're abroad as well. It's on my streaming service here in the Netherlands. I think if you're in the UK, you get it as well. In the US, you get it as well. So plenty of opportunity to watch this one. We got picked for the TV draw, and just as well because there's a certain person returning, and it falls right in line with the end of his ban, and we'll talk about that later. But you probably know who that is already. Before we get started, I haven't got many commentator stats. It's the EFL Cup. There isn't much going on with this one, but I've got a couple. This will actually be the fifth time Newcastle and Forest have met in the second round of the EFL Cup. One of those has been a replay, so it's probably the fourth time we've been drawn, but one was a replay back in the 70s when they still had replays in this competition. And it is the sixth meeting in total in this competition. The other one was the third round. That was in the 2011-2012 season. The current record is one draw, which is why there was a replay, 2 wins, 2 defeats. And they're not short of goals. Let's just say that. After that first draw, which was 1-1, every tie since, at least one of the sides has scored 3 or more goals in each game. I think one of them I saw was a 4-3, which we won. And then there's been a couple of 3-1s, a couple of 3-2s. And yeah, 3 goals or more by at least one team in every single game. So I did say this in the last game, in the last preview, and look how that turned out. But don't let that hinder your predictions, lads. We'll take a quick look into Forest. Obviously, it's only been 2 games into the season, but they have signed a few players despite PSR and points deductions last season. I don't know how, but they've signed a few players. One of them being our very own Elliot Anderson, who did pick up an injury, which was a PSR fiddle job. Let's not beat around the bush. And we got one of theirs who may or may not be at the club by the time this comes. We'll see what happens because he wasn't on the bench today. We are recording this on Sunday night, by the way. But Nichol, tell us a little bit about Forest, what you've seen, what injuries they've got. I think Anderson's back from what I've seen. I think he played yesterday. But let us know a little bit about Forest before we look into Newcastle.
Yeah, I think Forest have started the season okay. They got a draw on the opening day and then won yesterday against Southampton away from home. I think they've got some good attacking players, to be honest. They've got Anthony Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White, I think is their best player in my opinion. Yep. And then they've got Callum Hudson-Odoi in the other wing. I think we remember last season Elanga gave Dan Burn at left back a bit of trouble in the away league fixture. And yeah, I think they've got some good attacking players. They've obviously got Elliot Anderson, who we know very well, who will probably be playing, I would imagine, on Wednesday to get some minutes into his legs. And then they've got another player that we also know well as well, Chris Wood, up front, who actually has, I think, towards the back end of last season, and you know, I think he's looked all right this season. He has been scoring a few goals, and he seems to be sort of proven useful for them. So I think it'll be a difficult game, and And obviously, the history is suggesting that there's going to be goals in this fixture, so it might be the same on Wednesday.
Well, it's 3 or more in each of the games, Daryl, and we all know Chris Wood, and we all remember that hat trick. let's not talk about that too much, but yeah, we all know what Chris Wood is out. I mean, obviously, we mentioned some of the other players. I'm surprised Forest have kept hold of some of those players, if I'm being honest with you, especially the likes of Hudson-Odoi. Everyone thought he was going to be off to pastures new, and no offense to Nottingham Forest, but bigger clubs in the Premiership, and they've done very well to keep hold of him.
They have as well, especially when you consider the PSR implications as well. I mean, I think they might be one of the favourites to be in line for some sort of sanction this season with the business that they've done, and especially without recuperating any money in return to try and balance the books on that level. We all saw last season just how big of a threat that 3 was behind Chris Wood and Elanga, Gibbs White, and I forgot the other one. Why have I forgot the other one anyway?
Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, Hudson-Odoi. Yeah, the three of them were absolute terror for us at St James's Park. And as much as we won the game down at the City Ground in the league in the reverse fixture last season, it was still a very tight game, and they did cause us a lot of problems in the game as well. But yeah, I mean, even some of the defensive players as well, they were linked with moves away, and they never really materialised. So, like I say, it comes back to this PSR argument and whether or not they'll probably face some sanctions this year.
Well, I mean, we did do them a favour. We did sign
yeah.
from them. And, they've also got one of our... They didn't sign from us. I think we might have had a sell-on clause or some sort of clause where we did get a bit of money from the sale or them buying them. But Matt Sells is obviously their... I don't know he's their number one, but he's their first choice keeper. Surprisingly, because he wasn't the greatest for us from what I can remember of Matt Sells.
Yeah.
He seems to be doing all right there, though. I think what I've seen, he played today, seemed all right. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems to have put the worst behind him from what he had with us, and I don't know. Seems to be a running theme with some of the players of our past that go on. You think of Joselu, and you think of Ayoze Perez, and maybe even the likes of like Luke De Jong. Look at the seasons he's had since he's left us. That happens. They can't all be worldies for us, especially when they're a bit younger. I mean, Matt Sells wasn't, a spring chicken when he played for us, but anyway, but they do have some good players, and it'll be interesting to see how they line up, because I think yesterday they lined up 4 at the back, then 2 holding midfielders, then they've got the 3 up front with the target man Chris Wood on his own, which kind of works for them. They use Chris Wood where we kind of failed a little bit, really. Although Chris Wood got some important goals, there was one thing that annoyed me when we had Chris Wood was we never got the ball in the box and we had him on the field, and the moment we hooked him off the field, the crosses started flying, and it's like, well, you've got to... They need to be coming in when he's on the field. Like, he's the tall target man up front. So, all power to them if that's how they're playing the balls into him. I've not seen too much of Forest. I don't know if that's exactly how they're using them, but you'd imagine that's what they're doing. And I still remember that's what they did against us, which caused us all the troubles in the world last year, and we all know what happened. We'll talk a little bit about our defence, Daryl, because we've seen today it got switched up yet again. Obviously, the sending off of Fabian Schär last week had a lot to do with that, but there was a couple of surprises. We had Hall, obviously, demoted to the bench, and Lloyd Kelly came in. Do you think Eddie Howe sticks with that for this game, or do you think even one of the defenders, one of the youngsters, comes in to maybe give the likes of Emil Kraft or even Dan Burner a little bit of a rest for this, and we focus on the league this season?
I think he'll probably do a bit of a reversal of what he's done today, and he'll probably start Hall and give Hall the best part of an hour, and then maybe sub him off later in the game to save his legs for Spurs a week today. As we all know, that's going to be a huge game for us next weekend. But yeah, I think we're sort of blessed now that we have this little bit of the chance to do a bit of squad rotation now, because we've got nearly everybody's fit now. I think we know the main 2 who are still out through injury in Botman and Lascelles, so we can rotate the squad in areas to help us along. And I certainly think in that respect it'll be at left back and also at right back, because I think Kieran Trippier will probably start on the other side as well. Centre half, unfortunately at the moment that's going to be picking itself because of the options available to us. unless maybe he thinks about starting Alex Murphy in there as well. But whether that's in place of Kraft or Byrne, I don't know. And just to push it up and take it further and go into midfield, we all know, I'm sure you want to get to it, so I'll not mention it. But I think we'll probably see changes there as well.
Yeah. I mean, we may as well talk about it, Nichol. Obviously, there's one man whose ban is no longer in effect, or will no longer be in effect by the time this game comes to kick off, and that is one Sandro Tonali. It's a weird one. It's we all know what Eddie Howe's like when we say betting in new players. This isn't a new player. This is a player who's also had the fortunate, he's been fortunate enough that his ban allowed him to train with the team. So he should be, in all intents and purposes, raring to go. He should know every single playbook that we have. He should have a bond with every single player that is unmatched, and he should be ready to just be plopped into the team whenever it needs be, and he should just be ready to go. And it shouldn't be like the Sandro Tonali we saw maybe towards leading up to his ban, where he wasn't gelling that well with Bruno, and when they were both played at the same time, you thought, "Oh, is this going to work?"
Yeah. That's the hope, isn't it? That you can just slot straight in. I mean, he's been lucky, as you said, to be able to train. So I think this is probably a good game to put him in and see how he goes. I think he did struggle a little bit to gel with Bruno and Joe Linton prior to his ban, but he is that sort of. I know we've said it for a lot of years, and we've always sort of laughed at it. But this really is like a new signing coming back into the squad, and it's quite a significant one. We paid over 50 million for him last year, so he's one of our big signings through the takeover. So yeah, I'd hope that he can play on Wednesday, and I'm not sure how long for, maybe an hour, 70 minutes, see how the game goes. It might be one of them cup ties that's short of action, maybe as well. I know we've said in history there's a lot of goals, but sometimes these can go all the way to penalties as well, especially in the early rounds. So we'll see how the game goes, but it would be great to see him in. Yeah,
and it will go all the way to penalties. There's no replays. I think we mentioned that a bit earlier on, but there are no replays in this one. And then the next round, there's something happening with draws with some of the European teams that are getting more preferential treatment, but we'll not talk about that either, Daryl. Another thing I want to talk about, obviously, I know this is crazy talking about squad rotation. We're 3 games into the season, but you look at the front 3. Today was a prime example of Harvey Barnes coming on the field and changing the game, really. And also Joe Willock. Let's not forget Joe Willock came on, and Willock, Hall, and Barnes coming onto that field today pretty much rejuvenated the entire team. And actually, you could argue the second they came on, we looked at a completely different side, and we actually looked more of a threat than we did for the entire game. Do you think Eddie Howe's should really be noticing that and thinking, okay, I'm starting Barnes, I'm starting Joe Willock? Does that bleed into this game, and does that lineup kind of pick itself when it comes to that front 3? I mean, I'm not including Joe Willock in the front 3, but does Harvey Barnes very much cement his place into that front 3, especially when this is a cup game?
I think it's without a doubt. I mean, we all saw the impact that they made when they came on today, and they, like you say, they absolutely turned the game on its head for us. And as much as overall, you wouldn't, it wasn't exactly the best game for us, and we were very lucky to get away with the point today. There was no doubt about how much it changed when they came on, and like you said, they rejuvenated the team, and it brought a bit of life, and we suddenly started to come alive a little bit in the game. We really started to put Bournemouth under pressure, and then obviously it led to the goal as well. As they linked up really well down that side, did Harvey Barnes and Joe Willock. There was some nice little passages of play down there.
Hall as well. Hall was making the overlapping runs, and
Hall did really well.
Those 3 of them are doing well.
So they were really getting into those dangerous positions. So it was good to see, and I think any manager, doesn't matter who it is, I think if they see that sort of effect from the substitutions coming in the game, you have to then think, well, I've got a cup game coming up here. It's probably worth giving them a start, see what they can do from the outset. Yeah,
and there is actually already a match preview, a match reaction, to that game today. If you haven't already, you've probably already seen it by the time this gets out. You've probably already seen it in your feeds and you've already watched it. But if you haven't, once you're done with this one, go and watch that if you want a reaction to the Bournemouth game that happened today. It was Bournemouth. Yeah, it was Bournemouth.
It was,
I haven't
yeah.
forgotten that already. Wow, yeah. It was only 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago, but there we go. Do you think there'll be any changes up front, either of you? Or do you think we'll stick with Isak, or do you think we'll hire the new lad, give him some minutes?
I think we'll see Osula. I think we'll see Osula come in.
Do you think he'll start?
Definitely.
Or do you think he'll just get some minutes towards the end?
I think I would probably just start him, and then if we need to use Isak to make an impact, we can bring him on.
I think the other way around. I think Isak will start, and then you might say it. I mean, Eddie Howe's always has been, and he always does say that he takes the cup seriously. And I think it's been coming out of the camp in general from the squad that they want to win something this season. So I think if you show that in your actions with you playing your strongest from the start, try and get the game sealed with sort of half an hour, 20 minutes to go, and then we can put the Osula on and see what he's like. Obviously, we've seen him a little bit at the Cellar Cup, but we haven't seen him in sort of competitive games yet. So it will be good for him to get a run out, hopefully, as well. I think the front three will probably be Barnes, Isak, and Miggy. I think that's what it will be. I think I will probably go with Barnes, Isak, Gordon, personally, but I do think Eddie Howe will go with Almiron to give him some minutes because he hasn't had much so far this season. And I suppose it is a game where he can experiment a little bit more.
Yeah, he hasn't had much in, and to be honest, Gordon's looked a little tired.
Yeah,
I know he probably needs minutes, but Gordon's looked maybe he's not the full match sharpness, and obviously he needs a little bit of a rest too, especially when we've got Tottenham next week or Spurs, the weekend. I'm with you. I think maybe it'll be Miggy. Maybe he'll bring on what's that young one? Is it Sanusi? Sanasai. I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, maybe he'll come on, or he'll be feature from the bench if we're comfortable. I don't know. Maybe there's a dose of reality needed there. We'll see. Daryl, ref watch. There's no VAR for this one, apparently.
Yeah, from what we know.
So, who's the man in charge? Take it away.
So the man in the middle for Wednesday's game is going to be John Brooks from Leicestershire. He oversaw 3 Newcastle games in the Premier League last season. We have the 2-1 defeat at home to Liverpool. We have the 3-1 game at Villa, which we won, and also the 3-2 defeat away to Chelsea. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there. He didn't preside over doom and gloom for the entirety of these games last season. And his Premier League stats as well that he had for last season was 22 games refereed, 98 yellow cards and 4 reds.
Well, let's hope Joel Linton doesn't do any more clotheslines or decide to DDT anybody or jumps off the top of the crossbar and I don't know, Hurricane Rana's
no choke slams out of nowhere or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope. What was he thinking? Anyway, we'll come to predictions. Daryl, mate, I'll stick with you for your predictions on this one. What are you going for?
Oh God. As much as I don't want to say it, and I'm pretty sure I did this last season at some point. It was 1-1 after extra time, and then we win on penalties.
Ooh.
Didn't say that, man. It's a late one for me.
Just to put all through the misery of it all.
For me. I thought that's a 11:30 finish for. Well, in fact, that's a after midnight finish for me. Didn't be saying that.
You'll have to get an extra cup of cocoa in you.
Cup of cocoa. Right. Nichol, mate, please give us a 90 minutes finish. I don't get it. Not like you've got any say in the matter. Just
I'll be hoping for that as well. So I'm making the trip down to Nottingham on.
Oh yeah, okay. You didn't want to come back.
You want to get away.
I'm going. And I know you mentioned the previous fixtures in the cup. I was there the last time we were in the Carabao Cup against them, and Kennedy lost it in the last minute, and they went up the other end and scored. I don't know what year this was. I think it was under Rafa. I'm going to say.
16-17 maybe.
I'll tell you when it is. I've got it right here. 18-19.
18-19.
He came on.
We played them 17-18 and then 18-19. We played them back to back.
Yeah, he came on 3-1, and he just gave it away, and then they went and scored, and it was like the 90-something minute, and it was.
Was that the extra time one?
Yeah, I think it was in extra time.
So that was 17-18, and then we played them the season after as well, and they beat with 3-1.
So anyway, I was there for that one. So My record there is not great, but I'm going, so I'm going to be optimistic, and I want to get home early, so I'm going to say we're going to do it in 90 minutes, and it's going to be we're going to win 3-1.
3-1. Wow.
In 90 minutes.
You're going for the 3 goals in every game, are you? Is that what you're going for? There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll go for Chris Wood scoring for them. Isaac gets 2, and let's have a Sandro Tonali goal. Why not? Why not?
Yes. Absolutely. How
are you then, Scott?
I'm quietly pessimistic about this one. I'm not as confident as everybody else. I think it's a 1-1 draw throughout the game, and unfortunately, I think it goes to penalties. I think it stays 1-1 for. I know I was bitching before to Daryl about it going to penalties, but it's going to penalties. I know. Do as I say, not as I do.
Just because I stole your
it was a good. No, it wasn't good something. I think it goes to penalties. But I think we'll come out the victors of the penalties. I think Nick Pope will save 3 penalties.
That's if Nick Pope's in goal. That's if Nick Pope's in goal.
That's if Nick Pope's in goal. Yeah, could be John Ruddy.
Dubravka can save penalties. He did it Blackburn.
Dubravka might not even be at the club by the time this game goes out, judging off the bench today, Daryl. So who knows what's going on with Dubravka? What? John Ruddy can fill the goal. He just needs to lie down. He's saving penalties. He's that tall. No. Well, no. I think it will go to penalties, and I think whoever's in goal will save 3 penalties for us. We might miss a couple of ourselves, mind. It might not be the best penalty shootout you've ever seen, but I think it'll be. What does that make it then? A 2-1 victory on penalties? Yeah, I think we'll win. We'll win the penalties 2-1. Blame me. I'm not going to give you goal scorers for that because we'll be here all night. But yeah, we'll win 2-1 on penalties. But after a 1-1 draw, and I'll go for a Tonali goal. I think Tonali will come back with I think it'll be a good performance from Tonali. I think he'll have a lot to prove, and I think it'll put a lot of people's minds at ease. And I'm also going to go for an Elliot Anderson goal. I think he'll come back to haunt me, let's say, but not in a nasty way. Elliot Anderson didn't want to leave. Yeah. We didn't want to sell him, but I think he'll score and he'll not celebrate at all. Just like a good Geordie lad should.
If anyone was going to do it, it'll be Elliot Anderson, wouldn't it?
Well, he never got the goal for us, did he? Never got that goal in the Premier League for us. Did he get a cup goal? I think I remember he got a cup goal, didn't he? Didn't he score on the?
He had one first away.
Was it disallowed? I was disallowed, wasn't it?
Oh, he had the disallowed one at Forest as well.
Forest away.
At Forest, yeah. Yeah, well, he'll get his goal for Forest against us. But there you go. But yeah, he will not celebrate. But there you go. I know I said I wouldn't give you the goal scorers and ended up giving you them anyway. There we go. Boys, does anybody want to add anything before we wrap this one up?
I will just very quickly on Tonali. Now, I fully agree with you, Scott, and I think he will be round to go. I am just ever so slightly concerned that he just lacks a bit of real match sharpness.
Yeah, you can you?
In the first team. Yeah, you can't replicate that anyway. So I think he might lack a little bit on that side of things, but I don't think that will actually affect his overall performance too much. And I think we'll probably just be very kindly reminded by Sandro Tonali just what we have.
Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't bet on it. Sorry. Sorry, I had to get a gambling joke in there somewhere. But it's the last one from Tonali because no, it wasn't a nice thing that happened. Cool. Well, if you've liked this video, if you agree with our predictions, if you don't agree with our predictions, as I'm sure you already would have done already, let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the little thumbs up button. If you've enjoyed this, hit the thumbs down button. If you haven't, if you're a Forest fan, let us know what you think. Let us know what your predictions are. Let us know what you think of Elliot Anderson so far. I know he's had a bit of an injury at the beginning of the season, but he's come back. I think like you say, he played yesterday, and I don't know if he played the first game or not. But let us know what your thoughts are on Elliot Anderson, and let us know what Vlachodimos is like, because we haven't seen him apart from, I think, 20 minutes in pre-season. So let us know what he's like as well while you're in there, and let us know what we can expect from him before he goes out on loan by the end of the week. While you're down there as well, you can hit the subscribe button, and you'll be notified if you hit the little bell that appears when you do that, when new videos go live on this channel. We've got loads of content coming your way throughout the weeks. And if you want to go one step further, you can become a member. It's $2.99 a month. That gets you early access to videos like this one right here, as well as exclusive content and exclusive access to certain videos and podcasts, as well as access to the Telegram group. I think that's everything. It's Sunday night. Boys, let's forget about the game today. Wasn't a handball. Let's look forward to the EFL Cup, which I said in my predictions that we're going to win. So we'll have to get through this game because we're going to win this cup this season, apparently. But, you know, my crystal ball's broken, so we'll see what happens. Because I didn't get a single prediction right last season, so we'll see what happens. But, boys, we will see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Cheers, lads, for joining us on your Sunday night. And, yeah, thanks, everybody. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.